What's up everyone, I'm Rahul Badesra and I welcome you back to my channel where I give you tips and insights on men's fashion, beard and personal care and self-improvement. And as promised in my last video on digital fashion and NFTs, I'm back with a bonus video for you guys, and I've got a dear friend of mine, Priyank Mahajan, who's the founder of India's first invite-only NFT project, Token Runway. So we had some questions for Priyank and he helped us understand this world of metaverse and digital fashion a little better with his experience and perspective on things. So without much talk, let me just get on to the question and answer round with Priyank. So my first question to Priyank was basically just to understand what he's doing in the NFT space, and I asked him about what the Token Runway project was all about.
So, Token Runway is a project which was launched by us during the pandemic. At the very beginning, there were a lot of gray areas within the Indian landscape with regards to the treatment of crypto, the treatment of NFTs. And what we felt was Indian creative talent did not have the right access to the global NFT market. So that's where we stepped in. We have communities all over the world who are actively blockchain communities and especially NFT connoisseurs. And we make sure that whatever Indian talent is launching has access to the NFT collectors. So what we ensure is that Indian talent, whenever they create their NFTs, they have access to the global landscape. The adoption of NFTs has a technical challenge in terms of there are not enough Indian organizations which are trying to help people adopt it. Largely, if you see from an Indian standpoint, there are crypto exchanges who are making active effort in terms of getting people to buy crypto. But when it comes to NFTs, the entire education process with regards to having that Web3 wallet and, putting out your NFTs, minting them, buying them, that was still very cloudy around a year and a half ago when we started. So what we essentially do is we go to Indian talent, tell them what kind of NFTs would be good for them and for collectors to collect. And we kind of become this bridge to make sure that these NFTs go out to the right people and collectors. When it comes to the metaverse, the possibilities are endless, right? So it's not only about having a token in your wallet, but it's about enhancing your visibility within the metaverse. So wearables, as I see it, has too much potential compared to the actual real life fashion industry, right? There are so many limitations that come into place. It needs to be produced at a specific cost. It needs to be produced in a specific country. There are taxes, customs, shipping that needs to take place. It needs to go to stores or needs to be shipped to people. Whereas, when it comes to creativity being directly delivered to people who are utilizing it, the metaverse offers possibilities that were previously unheard of, right? So I firmly believe, and we at Token Runway firmly believe that, wearables in the metaverse is something that we have only scratched the tip of, and it has immeasurable potential, and we are going to see some real big action in that space. And it also makes it kind of easier for smaller designers, smaller creators to compete in that landscape, because word of mouth is still very much there. Advertising, so as to say, has not really taken over like it has taken over in Web2 space also. So you can still do projects, you can create a community around it. And once you see people with those wearables, the info tab will show you clearly what's the source, so that there is more and more understanding that people have of your work, right? So for example, if you're walking on the street with a branded t-shirt, if there's no logo and I really like the t-shirt, there's no way of knowing how did you get that t-shirt, which is the brand behind it. But here what happens is I see an avatar, I like what the avatar is wearing. I click on it and I know exactly who's the creator, when did they buy it, for how much did they buy it. So all that info automatically becomes visible, right? So I think it's the next step of evolution in fashion, because and it's going to greatly help the real creative talent who has not been able to sign up with big box retailers or the bigger brands, which otherwise in the traditional garments industry, it's very difficult to kind of make a mark.
Something that I've always wondered is that all the action in the metaverse space and the digital fashion, it's been mostly confined to the west of the world. So what about the Indian market? What about Indian players? Where do we stand on it? So I asked Priyank about his perspective of the Indian market and what does he feel about the future of NFTs and digital fashion in India.
So this is actually as decentralized as a society we have been able to be. Apart from that, I believe adoption of anything that's good, because of the sheer numbers that we have, has always been fast. And now, especially, there are more than enough people who have taken this seriously, especially about after the government having kind of put some tax slabs into place for any income generated out of it. So there is automatically a lot of more confidence in in the entire technology, right? So earlier people were like, why should we do it? What if it becomes illegal later? But now people automatically have that confidence, and we'll see that confidence getting translated. Also, NFTs, like any other creative process, it requires time, right? So the confidence has just come in. So we'll see a lot more creators from India creating. Automatically, the followers of those creators will be introduced to NFTs. So it might not be as fast as it happened in the case of cryptos. Nobody's giving you 100 rupees free worth of Bitcoin. But having said that, if there is genuinely a good piece that you'd want to collect, you would take that step towards NFTs, right? There's only one extra layer to this, that you need to have your own wallet. In case of a crypto exchange, what happens is the crypto exchange is the guardian of your crypto, and then if you need to take it out, take it in, then there's a separate process, and it becomes slightly easier for crypto exchanges to manage it in this way. Here you need to have your wallet, because your NFTs is your responsibility to protect forever. So, and that extra layer is absolutely very easy. There's no KYC and all that that's happening. So that's the plus point there, and it's hardly less than a minute process. So I don't see any challenges that that India will not adopt NFTs very fast. It's just the price parity standpoint now, that for the same item, and if it's actually limited, from a purchase parity standpoint, we might have certain restrictions, but larger projects which have a lot of tokens, and if you get in at the right time, you'll be able to get them at the right price. So of course, there'll be a lot of adoption of this within the country.
Recently, Netflix released a documentary called Trust No One that was basically about a crypto exchange platform which was based out of Canada, and the owner defrauded all its users for about $250 million.
It concerns the I watched that particular documentary, and this, like, I'll go back to my last answer. I told you, right, that crypto exchanges do not really give you access to the cryptocurrency that you technically own. So it is held by them in their wallets, and their UI will display what amount of holding do you have and what's its value as on date. However, once you look at NFTs, there is nobody else holding that for you, right? So that's what I said. You need to have your own wallet, and you need to be very careful. So the private key of your wallet is something you can absolutely never disclose to anybody. You should not even have it on your notes or your email. So as far as possible, it should not exist with a digital footprint. You should just write it down and save it somewhere, pen and paper, the old way. And absolutely your wallet you have access to, right? And the tokens are already in your wallet, right? So in terms of you getting a token and not being able to access it till you understand how the wallet works, which is the public key, private key, there's no challenge there. The other thing that you need to be very careful about is whom you're buying whom you're buying from is actually a legit seller, right? So at times that will happen with marketplaces trying to give verified status to the larger sellers. or otherwise you are following an artist, you're following a creator, and they are using their active social media to tell you about it. And everything is verifiable on the blockchain explorer, right? So even if you are buying a particular NFT in resale, you'll be able to check its first ever sale, link it to that wallet, and check if that's actually the wallet of the original creator, right? So especially when you're buying under resale, it's very essential to check if it says XYZ limited NFT. You check that chain explorer and see that, yeah, actually this was sold by the original creator and this is up for resale now, rather than somebody trying to create a new token and saying that it's a part of the original collection. So few checks and balances like we do in real life, and especially Indians, we want our milk to be unadulterated. We go the extra mile for that. So I think we can spend an extra minute on checking these things before we make the purchase decision.
Recently, we saw the first ever Metaverse Fashion Week. Its kind 4-day event was held on Decentraland in March 2022. The glittering event was not just a milestone for the world of fashion, but was a cornerstone for the concept of metaverse and everything it is going to become in the near future. So I asked Priyank about how he sees this milestone and what is the future of digital fashion in India.
Oh, absolutely. I think, we also have to understand this was the first ever metaverse fashion week, right? And when we are comparing it to fashion weeks, which have been running for 50s and hundreds of years, and this entire garment business, which is ancient, if we say so, I think it was a very good first step. The good part is all the big brands showed the right interest and the right intent and participated, and it can only go higher from here, right? It is essential for people once in a while to come together, talk about things, and kind of share their experiences about it. Of course, when it comes to the touch and feel, real world versus metaverse will always be slightly different. But then again, metaverse and real world also will always be slightly different. So there are experiences you'll have in the metaverse which you'll not be able to replicate in real life, and there'll be experiences you will have in the real life which you'll not be able to replicate in the metaverse. So that'll always be the case, actually, at least for the foreseeable future. Some really cool hardware is now being manufactured as in beta stages or has actually been shipped, which gives you more sensory feedback from the metaverse than just what's available on the 2D screen or within your VR headset. So we are getting there, but as a person who has lived all my life in the real world till now, we'll always see that thin line of divide. But from the younger generations on, who will be born after the metaverse has already existed, for them that those lines will be thinner, is what I believe.
Correct.
It'll take a while it'll take a while to capture the imagination of our society.
Me and Priyank both come from a background of live events and entertainment. So we saw as soon as the lockdown happened, the events tried to be, created virtually and in the metaverse, but it did not take off. A lot of big artists tried to do concerts online, but there was no show. It did not take off. It wasn't profitable, of course. But again, this was a start. So I wanted to ask Priyank about his perspective of how he saw events being concluded and being or taking place in the metaverse. What is his opinion on this?
No, absolutely. I mean, we have to understand that these are two different experiences, right? It's not fair to compare the real live events, which have stadiums filled with thousands of people, equipment put there, specifically designed to how the sound comes to you, how the visuals come to you, right? So that is an experience in itself, which you can do with people who are available at the same time in the same place. But as we know the world today, we are a global society, not like my friends from school are spread across 5 different continents, right? If I was to do a class reunion today, it's almost impossible for everybody to come in physically to the same location, right? So this is the layer that helps you kind of have people log in from different parts of the world, enjoy the same stuff, So we'll definitely see adoption with communities who are excited about specific things, and when they are meeting up, it'll actually make meeting and discussing specific items easier. But when you see, largely we have to always understand that these are two different experiences. They'll always exist, and they'll always offer things that they tell you they offer, right? None of these experiences are out there to make the other irrelevant. Both these experiences have their own merits and their own agenda, and they'll definitely progress, right? So it doesn't mean that now that metaverse is there, innovation in the live event space will die down, right? We'll still have cutting edge lighting technology, cutting edge sound technology coming to the real space. At the same time, there's so much more to do within the metaverse. We'll have more and more ways of interacting. So we started with the only few emotes. Now from 1 to 9, I have to set what all can my avatar actually do in the metaverse. So we are progressing, right? Till date, my avatar cannot sit down in the metaverse, right? So we are that early. So there is a lot that can still happen, and on all sides of the equation, people are working towards it, right? Whether it's hardware, whether it's the DAOs themselves who are kind of building the metaverse. Everybody's working to make that experience better in the metaverse, and there are people in the real life who are making the experience better by their own way, by getting more and more better equipments there, right? So the journey is linear. It's all going forward for both of these experiences.
Well, thanks a lot, Priyank, for joining us in this video, and I hope you guys liked all the questions and the answers that came about, and it will give you more clarity about the cryptocurrency world, fashion NFTs, and digital fashion, of course. Do let me know in the comment section below what you see and perceive as the future of digital fashion and NFTs, and it is something that interests you or not. I would love to hear from you. Thanks a lot for tuning in, friends. This is me, Rahul Badesra, signing out. I'm going to see you next Thursday at 9:15 a.m. And until then, remember, friends, life is more fun when you're at the top of your game.